Bear down, Bears fans. Another edition of the Chicago Bears podcast coming your way. Pat the designer, Jason McKee in the building Tuesday before Juneteenth, but we still got to get that content out to you, man. Listen, the Bears 53-man roster predictions are starting. We're seeing them pop up all over the place, and so it's kind of interesting to look at because when you look at years past based on this year, it's a completely different scenario. Got to look in at what a lot of these guys are talking about as far as what the 53 is going to be, whether me and J-Mac believe that's where the lineup's going to be set. We got the Athletic article here. Adam Johns and Kevin Fishbane broke down their 53-man projection. So we'll run off of that list and see if there's some changes that we want to see. But all that and more in today's episode of the Chicago Bears podcast. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave that 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Today's episode is brought to you by the Hard Rock Casino in Northern Indiana. Las Vegas style gaming, just 30 minutes from Soldier Field, exit 6, right off of I-80-94. J-Mac, what's going on, my guy?
Not much, Pat. Just moving and grooving, man. Summer practice started up, so we got practice. We had a practice yesterday, a short one because of the heat index. So IHSA guidelines requires you to only have a maximum 1 hour practice when the heat index is over 100 degrees, especially on football turf. So short practice yesterday. We'll have a full practice today, and then we got a joint practice. Your school, North Chicago, will come to visit, along with Frimm High School will come to visit us on Thursday. We don't have practice tomorrow because of Juneteenth, so we're off, but we'll finish the week out with a joint practice on Thursday. So just in football mode, man, it's summer. You know, all the schools around here are practicing, trying to, get their guys in shape to get ready. I think it's only like, if I'm not mistaken, 72 or 73 days until kickoff. So, yeah. We're moving and grooving. The season's right around the corner.
Might have to pull up on y'all for a little North Chicago joint practice. See what kind of fire my boys got. I hear some good things going on in North Chicago, man. I might have to come through. What y'all doing? Y'all doing that at y'all stadium, or y'all doing that at North Chicago?
It'll be at our stadium. Yeah, it'll be at ours. We did last year too, and it's good because you get a chance to go against somebody other than yourselves, and it's good for the high school kids because it puts you in a competitive environment early. And I think, last year we had 2 of these, and it really helped us, that first game, guys were already used to going against somebody other than themselves. You know what I mean? It just gave us a leg up. And, it's a good opportunity for guys to go against other guys, especially around the area that they know. And it makes it fun. It really does.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I would assume so. Even right when we see the Chicago Bears setting up their joint practices and stuff this season, right? It's because it's like, all right, you get sick of hitting each other at a certain point. And you want to build the juices up, get yourself ready to go heading into a game. Love the fact that you guys are doing it. I didn't even know high schools did joint practices. So that's cool to see at the high school level as well. But let's get to this 53, man, because I think that it's such a different world that we're in right now, dog. Like when I think back to the last 2 years of covering the Chicago Bears, I mean, you were sitting there literally going, do we have a competition in the running back room? Do we have a competition on the offensive line? Do we have a competition in the wide receiver room? And like we were talking about, right? Competition can bring the best out of you, but it's a lot better when you head into training camp and you go, but Olin Kreutz is the starting center, and we know that already. Jason McKee is going to be our starting fullback. We already got that penciled in. Who's that linebacker? We're probably throwing Lance Briggs out there. We got that penciled in already. It's a lot better when you can do that, and that's what I feel like this year's 53-man roster really is. When you start to look through, let's start off. We'll go position by position here, and just I like how the Athletic laid this out because to me, this really just these guys are in, and maybe there's a couple of switches that you want to see. Quarterback right now, Caleb Williams, Tyson Bagent. We got any debate on that? Anybody in the back debating that?
Nah,
Caleb Williams is starter.
Of course. And the third one, Brett Rippon and Austin Reed. I mean, that third one will be on practice squad. You know what I'm saying? And so get a chance to develop, get more reps. In practice, they'll be going against a really good defense, giving them a look, and that'll help accelerate, that third quarterback spot. It'll accelerate the development because they're going up against such a really good defense. But no debate, Caleb's your number one, and Tyson Bagent will be the number 2. So they got that right.
the longest tenured quarterback on this team, Tyson Bagent. Dion Miller pointed that out to us the other day, and we were just like, "Oh God, like, what? Oh, that hurt. That hurts to hear."
It's a young man's game.
Running back side, they're keeping 5 running backs. Now they're counting Kari Blasingame as a running back. So, all right, I respect that. DeAndre Swift, Khalil Herbert, Roschon Johnson, Travis Homer, Kari Blasingame. Do you think that the Bears keep 5 running backs heading into the season?
Yeah, and we actually, the funny thing is we talked about this last week. Remember Travis Homer being the wild card just because he's such a really good player on special teams. He's a 4-phase guy, so he's on kickoff return, punt, and punt return. And, he makes plays, and that's why he was on the team last year. That's why he will be on the team this year, because of his ability to excel at special teams. And then you look at, we already know DeAndre, of course, is going to be there. Khalil will be there. Roschon's going to be that guy who can be your third down back because of his pass protection ability, but he also has the ability to play special teams as well. Yeah. He excelled at special teams at the University of Texas while getting some spot duty at running back behind Bijan Robinson. So, that's where Roschon Johnson's value comes in. Plus, it's his second year. So I'm interested to see how much of a jump he's made from his rookie year to this year, mainly in terms of offense. We saw him have some big plays last year. I want to see if he can really take the next step and really, elevate his game and see, how many carries is going to be split up amongst these guys as well. Like, what's that going to be like? But I think you got a really good backfield. Kyrie will be the fullback, does a lot of great things as well. He's versatile. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He can block, but he's also a special teams guy. So you need to have guys that are like Swiss Army knives in that backfield, because they're going to be asked to fill a lot of roles other than actually playing running back, a lot of those special teams roles. So I think we're really good, in terms of the running back standpoint.
Thing I do want to see from Roschon, I think you hit the nail on the head, right? I've got a lot of confidence in Roschon. I'm a big fan of Roschon's game. I think that he translates well to what the Bears want to do moving forward. And I think that at some point we're looking at Roschon Johnson as our number 2 overall back. But you got to make the most out of the opportunities that are given to you. Yeah. I don't know if we saw that from him last season. Now, we believe that all 3 of the running backs were in a tough position last year, but I don't know if we saw that from him last season. I love the fact that he goes out and he does all the extra things, but when I go to my running backs, the one thing that I'd like them to do, but it's not the only thing I need you to do. I like that he blocks.
Yeah.
I need you to be able to run though. Right? Like that's like Equinemius St. Brown. He was a phenomenal blocker for the Chicago Bears. But as a wide receiver, if your best talent is blocking, yes, that will keep you in the NFL. But you should be able to catch. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's the part for Roschon I'm looking for. I love the things that he does. Can we see him accentuate the offense that we saw from him at Texas? He was a good running back and a good offensive asset at Texas. So we'll see what he ends up doing there. When you look at the wide receiver room right now, the Athletic keeping 6 wide receivers. A name on here that surprised me a little bit at the end: DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, Tyler Scott, Bayless Jones. Guaranteed 5. That 6th spot is up in the air, and they right now have Dante Pettis. Now, J-Mac, me and you have both been up there at practice. Dante's staying on the sideline a lot. Is Dante Pettis making this team?
Yeah, I mean, he's a veteran player who's, been on a lot of teams, who hasn't really had a ton of success, play special teams. But, like we seen him last year, he was hurt. He didn't really get a chance to perform a lot in training camp. I don't even remember how many preseason games he played. Mini camp.
I don't believe he played any, because if I'm not mistaken, I think he was hurt during that portion of training camp and preseason.
Yeah, and it's bad because, only time I really can recall Dante, while at practice, he's been hurt. He was hurt at the mini camp. I was there. He was hurt too. Yeah. So he has ability, but it's a matter of, can he get on the field? And I just, if he's not on the field this year, I just don't see how you just put him on the roster at number 6. And then I know the Bears got a collection of young receivers that they have as well. One name that I'm intrigued to see how he performs is Colin Johnson, right? A guy he got moved up late on the active roster last year. Real big receiver. I think I want to say he's like 6'5", 6'6". I can't remember how tall he is, but he's a tall guy, athletic receiver. He's been here, obviously his new offensive system, but I want to see what type of performance he can put on in training camp, because I feel like he's a guy who has a How tall is
Colin Johnson? 6'6",
Yeah.
222.
See what I mean? A big
Yeah.
receiver, man. It gives you another dimension or a different type of body at the receiver position. You know what I mean? So I'm interested to see what type of training camp he puts together, what type of preseason he puts together. That'd be a name I'm interested to watch. That I would say, hey, you know what? Here's a guy that I'm really going to highlight throughout training camp in that wide receiver room. I mean, Dante Pettis, he just hasn't been available, man.
And that's the thing. He's great when he's on the field. When he's able to go, he's a guy who can be a 6 wide receiver if you need him out there to catch passes. But the big thing for me is I love him in punt returning. Right. I think that he's a good asset to have in kick returning, especially with the new rules as well. I think there's a lot of good that he could offer to the Chicago Bears team. But most time that we've been there, and I would say I've probably been up there more than you have to this point. Yeah. Every time I've been up there, I haven't seen him dressed yet. Like I'm surprised that he's still on the team. I wonder about a guy like DeAndre Carter, who the Bears ended up signing. I want to say last week they ended up getting that deal done. He's been with a few teams, but as a special team return guy, especially with the type of system that we're seeing that they're running in practice, there's usually 2 guys back there. You're going to have Velus Jones on one side. Are you going to have DeAndre Carter on the other? Is that going to be Tyler Scott's spot? Right? Like, that to me, I think the fact that you signed him, of course, he could just be a camp body, but I would like to see him see what he can do and if he can win that spot, because to me, Dante Pettis' name is thrown on there just as he's been on the team for a while, so he might get it because he knows the system. But we're arguing the 6 wide receiver guys.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. And you got, I mean, but at the end of the day, like Ryan Poles, like he said over and over again, and he said it, but he's also shown it. They're going to do their due diligence to create competition, right, at every position. And that's what he's doing. There's a guy out there that can, they feel that could bring something to the table, that has an opportunity or the skill set to make this team, like a DeAndre Carter. They're going to bring him in. And that's what they did. So you have another guy that can excel in the return game on special teams, but can excel at the receiver position and create more competition in that room. So it's going to be tough. If they keep 6, that 6 spot's going to be a battle, because you're going to have to be a guy that plays special teams. You're going to have to be a guy that shows throughout preseason and training camp that you can make plays at the receiver position. So it's going to be a good battle. I mean, we know the other guys who the top 3 are, but it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of that room shakes up.
Do you think that either wide receiver or running backs, we could see anybody being a cap casualty that's on this list right now? I mean, I think the wide receiver room is probably set, maybe the 6th guy, but I look at a guy like a Travis Homer, if they do end up releasing him, right, because they're trying to find some money to maybe pay an opposite defensive end or whatever it is. Yeah. I believe he's a $2 million. He gives $2 million of leeway to the cap if you end up moving on from Travis Homer at this point in the season. You see any cap casualties in either of those rooms?
Yeah, I don't know. I think you got to look at it like this, right? If the value that Travis Homer has on special teams, like he was one of the captains on special teams last year. Yeah. So it's like, I mean, I don't know. I think that running back room, I like the 5, right? Because of the skill sets of the guys. I think DeAndre Swift and Khalil Herbert, similar skill set. Rashawn Johnson's skill set's a little different, more of a power runner. Homer is a guy he's more of a guy, in terms of the running back position, he's more of like a 3rd down guy, but like we talked about, he excels on special teams. So I don't see that. I think he'll be there because of the value that he brings on special teams. But the receiver position, like there's a lot of young guys in that room. So I don't really see that being an issue.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what they end up doing. Of course, there's always that surprise one that we get every year. We just like, dang, they cut him. I did not expect that.
They cut him or they kept him. That's you gonna
well, we know who they kept him is. Let's see what he end up doing this season. Right. We all got that guy. Tight end room right now. They're bringing on 3 tight ends: Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett, Mercedes Lewis. That's simple to me. I'm not surprised by any of those names. I think that all of those are shoo-ins to be here. Offensive line and defensive line is kind of where I think this conversation gets a little bit interesting. Braxton Jones, offensive line here, 9 offensive linemen being kept. Braxton Jones, Tevin Jenkins, Ryan Bates, Nate Davis, Darnell Wright, Coleman Shelton, Karan Amageji, Matt Pryor, and Jatir Carter. Those 2 are kind of interesting to me. Matt Pryor's massive, by the way. I don't know if you got a chance to see him while you were out there. He's like 6'8", 265, but like he's a monster of.
And he blocked. That's all I care about. I don't care how much you lift in terms of weights and all that stuff and what you can do. And can you block? That's all I care about.
6'7". Oh, I undersold the weight a little bit, guys. I apologize on my part. I said 260. I think I was thinking of a smaller human being there. 6'7", 332 pounds.
And there's a lot of guys that look like Tarzan and play like James. Can you block? That's all I care about. Can you block? That's it. That's all we want. Can you block? And I'm sure he can. You know, I'm not. It's not a knock on him. I'm just saying in general. Like we know the main guys. You talked about the main guys already, but it's another case to where, like we said before, Ryan Poles is bringing guys in to create competition, to create depth. You know what I mean? But the main thing that a lot of people this offseason have been going back and forth on is, you know, you take Romo Dunze at 9. Should you have taken an offensive line? You know, he doesn't. He brings the guys in free agency. They get a guy, Ryan Bates, who they tried to get the year before.
Yeah.
So, you know, they feel like that was, you know, their answer for the center spot. But then you have a collection of guys who, you know, they're not high-level veterans. They're veterans that have experience, but that would create competition, you know, in that O-line room. So I think that's going to be interesting to see how this thing plays out, especially with the injuries that we saw all last year with this offensive line. It was a carousel every single week. Different guys, a different starting 5 each and every week. Nate Davis in that out of lineup. Tevin Jenkins, you know, he's got to prove that he can stay healthy. Big year for him because he's, you know, could be up for a new contract, but he's got to stay healthy. So, you know, 9 offensive linemen, I can see them keeping that many guys just because, I mean, that drives the offense. That's the heartbeat of the offense, that offensive line. And we've seen throughout the years, that's been our Achilles heel with the Chicago Bears because of the fact that we haven't had, you know, 5 guys that can stay healthy. So that continuity has been lost, you know, each and every week. And that's tough, especially for a young quarterback, man. We've got to make sure that we figure this thing out. We got to make sure that we do have some cohesiveness on the offensive line with a young quarterback coming in and trying to make an impact.
Do you have to keep more because of the potential Nate Davis situation that may be there, right? Do you have to keep more guys because you might end up having to move guys around? Because to me, listen, if Nate Davis ain't at training camp, like at some point, Matt Eberflus, I need you to stand up for your hits principles. Right? You can't have hustle intensity. Well, he can't get takeaways, but you can't prevent takeaways and play smart if you're not on the field.
Well, I think you keep that many because of the history, not just of Nate Davis, the history of Tevin Jenkins. Look at Braxton Jones. How many games he missed last year? 4. You see what I'm saying? So it's the history of health for your offensive line in general.
Yeah.
You know, it's been an issue. It's been an issue every year. And the teams that it's an issue for every team, but the teams that are able and are equipped to be able to sustain those type of injuries, right? And just next man up can come in and produce and perform at a high level. Those are the teams that you see in the playoffs, right? What happens? The starter goes down, new guy comes in, they don't miss a beat. That new guy is the new name on the block. Next, you know, he's a free agent getting a big contract. You know what I mean? Because the development has been there, you know, and they prepared that guy to be a starter. And if you're a backup in this league at any position, you're a starter. You got to prepare yourself like a starter. It's the coach's job to prepare that guy like a starter as well. So, you know, I think that's why you see 9, you know, on this list, just because of the history of the offensive line as a whole in general.
It's going to be like, I really want to see kind of what Ryan Bates, where he's going to be slated, right? If Nate Davis ain't out there, I would assume you would put the dude that's played right guard most of his career at right guard. Does that bring up Coleman Shelton as your starting center? Or do you try to move guys around on the line? Like it's going to be insanity if we're dealing with another season of not being able to have Nate Davis out there or Tevin Jenkins getting hurt, because you're going to have guys have to step in that I mean, you didn't want in that position. That you had to put in that position.
That versatility, and that's what you want on this offensive line, right? You want guys that can play multiple positions on the interior. You want guys that are tough guys on the edge. Look at Darnell Wright, who played every game his rookie season. He showed his durability. Can he do that again this year? Braxton Jones missed 4 games last year, but versatility is key. We've seen Tevin Jenkins move at guard, left guard, right?
Yeah, all over the place.
You know what I mean? So we'll see how this plays out. You know, I think you do have to keep that many just because of, you know, the overall history of where this offensive line has been in the past.
Big question with the defensive line. Montez Sweat, they're keeping 8 defensive linemen. Montez Sweat, Javon Dexter, Andrew Billings, Big Bill, DeMarcus Walker, Austin Booker, Jacob Martin, Dominique Robinson, that's special teams at this point to me, and Zach Pickens on this team. Like, honestly, I will say this, special team wise, right? Special team wise, Dominique Robinson, the second I saw the new kickoff rule, he's the first person I thought of.
Yeah,
and athletic
now. He's super athletic.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he can present the problems. Like, you can put him on punt return and let him come off the edge and put him against a slot. If they're a team that runs a pro style punt, put him against the slot and let him go out there and try to block kicks. So he's a big athletic guy. You know what I'm saying? And 100%. For whatever reason, he has not developed at a rate that you would have liked him to on the defensive line, but he can bring you some value in special teams because he's a big guy that can run, so punt return, he can block kicks, but he can be a good hold-up guy because he's a bigger guy. He can maul those guys on that punt team. He can cover. The name that I'm happy to see on there is my guy, Jacob Martin, the Temple guy, another Temple guy in the league making a roster. You know what I'm saying? That's
can't never go wrong with a good Temple guy. You know what I'm saying? I
shout my Temple guys out all the time, man. We'll find. We're gonna get on the roster, man. We're gonna produce. So it'll be interesting to see if he can actually make the team. He's a big guy, athletic guy as well. But yeah, Dominique Robinson, I think, would be a huge question mark with Austin Booker because Austin Booker, younger guy, if he shows the ability to get to the quarterback, right? But he's also an athletic guy that they can do the same things that Dominique Robinson can do on special teams. So it's a matter of, have the Bears seen enough of Dominique Robinson to say, you know what, he's not a fit here for what we're looking for. In terms of at the defensive end position, and we have other guys that we can utilize on special teams other than him. It remains to be seen. Austin Booker has a great shot to make this team if he can get to the quarterback. And he hasn't had a lot of snaps when he was at Kansas, but at the same time, when he did, he was very productive. And I think that's why the Bears moved back up to grab him in the draft.
When you look at the defensive line, are you happy with the defensive linemen that we have entering the season if the Bears don't make a move?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's tough because what you got in Montez Sweat, obviously Billings.
A lot of questions.
I mean, yeah. And the questions are young guys, right?
Yeah.
You look at Javon Dexter, Zach Pickens, right? Dexter's been in, he's lost some weight. Can he be that true 3 technique that we wanted him to be last year? We felt like he was too heavy. He didn't have a burst. That was the issue starting off in training camp. He's slow getting off the line. He's lost weight. Let's see if he can actually take the next step and really build upon what he did the second half of the season. Because the second half of the season, I felt like he started figuring out some things.
Started figuring out that system, that penetrating style.
Yeah, the game wasn't too big for him. He actually felt it looked like he started understanding that, hey, you know what, I can play. I can really take over a game and dominate. But let's see if he takes that next step. Pickens is another guy, is still a question mark. Austin Booker's a question mark. All these guys are question marks, really, except for Montez Sweat and DeMarcus Walker too.
Andrew Billings and Montez Sweat are the only ones that I'm like, check. They'll be there.
Yeah. I mean, DeMarcus Walker is a guy because he is a, you hear everybody that talks about DeMarcus Walker, right? Great teammate, great leader in the locker room, right?
Mouthpiece.
And that's what you want. Like, you need guys like that in the locker room, but at the same time, we need guys like that, but we need that, like his leadership and all those qualities they rave about. We need production on the field. And we didn't see really any type of production in DeMarcus Walker until Montez Sweat came. So, let's see if he can take the next step, because he's going to have to really, take a step forward or take another step, because we're looking for another guy. And if you're a veteran guy and the whole offseason and, we're going to bring guys in, we need guys to get to the quarterback, if you're a veteran, that's saying something. I mean, that's, what I'm saying?
You should be a little mad. You should be a little pissed off.
Right. I mean, they're talking about you, man. Like, and he knows it. Like, he's a smart guy. He knows it. So, I like DeMarcus Walker. I'm pulling for him. I think he's a good player. I just think he's, got to take that next step, man. You got to get to the quarterback.
Yeah, he had a season being the other guy in Tennessee where he had a 7-sack season. That's when the Bears brought him in. Mm-hmm. If you can replicate that, phenomenal work. Yeah, I mean, love having you here. We'll go draft somebody young. We can make it through the season with a 7-sack guy on the opposite Montez Sweat. Looking at the linebacker room right now, Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards, Jack Sanborn, those are the obvious ones. Noah Sewell, Eamon Agbangbemig. Now listen. Only reason, I just say it with confidence to try to get through it.
Say it again.
Agbangbemig.
Is that the right pronunciation?
I have no idea, and I'll tell you why. I asked Matt Eberflus. How do you say? What do you call him? How do you say his name? Because I believe we signed him last year, and I was like, how do you say his name? And he said, he smiled at me and went, we call him O. I was like, all right, dog. I was like, okay, coach, like you're not even trying it. You're just calling him O. You're not even trying to figure it out.
On a sideline broadcast, I'm gonna call him Amen O,
bro. That's what he said. I said, how do you say his name? He said, we call him O. It's like, all right, bet. All right,
I bet you Joniak knows. I bet you Joniak's probably said his name this offseason about 1,000 times just to get, because he's real meticulous about his pronunciation and everything. Like
because they're gonna get in for Joniak, right? Like these are dudes that me and you are never gonna talk about for the most part. Yeah, I mean, like unless things go wrong. If we see Eamon on the field, something is not going our way. No disrespect to Eamon, but you're not high up on the depth chart. But realistically speaking, he got to say everybody's name. He's sitting there learning the last dude on the last roster from last year.
Yeah,
Joniak a different animal.
Yeah, I'm kind of, and that's the thing about preseason, man. It's so hard because it's so many names, like it's so many players. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you're out there, when we're doing the broadcast, like we all have our, our player sheet, but it's so many names, and the mainstream guys, you ain't got to worry about. It's all the backups, like so they're gonna get into place. You got to be like, you really got to be on your P's and Q's. You're like, Amen O on the tackle again. Amen O on the tackle again. That's his last name. I apologize right now. ESPN Chicago. When I say Amen O, you guys know who I'm talking about.
Hey, I went through Bobby Okereke's first 6 seasons, calling him Okereke because Pat McAfee messed it up at the draft. I swear I did. I was like, I heard somebody call him Okereke. I know somebody that called him this. Must was like, bro, it was Pat McAfee. Like I was like, oh, that's my bad. I probably shouldn't be taking my cues from Pat McAfee. No disrespect to Pat, but we know he wasn't going up there ready to say that name. At the cornerback position, I think. Well, hold on. Before we get to the cornerbacks, looking at the linebackers, is 5 linebackers enough?
Yeah, I would say so, because you look at it like this, right? Well, I can't say too much for Amen O because I didn't really see him play a lot. But in terms of Jack Sanborn and Noah Sewell, right? And I'm not just talking about Jack in terms of his contributions from the linebacker position. I'm talking about his contributions on special teams. He's another key special teams guy, really good player on special teams. Noah Sewell has shown he can make plays on special teams, but with Noah, it's staying healthy too. He was banged up a lot last year. And Noah Sewell's a guy, like if you were to go in a room and look at these linebackers, you would be like, damn, like if you just looked at him, you say, damn, that dude's a starter. I mean, he's a big dude, fast dude, he can hit.
If you were going to build a linebacker, you would build Noah Sewell, 6'2", 253.
Yes. If you're a creative player on Madden, when you build your guy out, you're going to say, okay, I'm creating a Noah Sewell type linebacker on Madden if I'm doing a creative player. Because he's got, like, he looks like a starting linebacker. And there's another chance for him to take the next step as well. He's been a special teams guy. His family's got a really long history of playing in the NFL, and we've seen him make a ton of splash plays in training camp. But when the season came about, he was banged up, so he didn't get that opportunity. He was in and out of the lineup as well. So I really would like to see what he can do if he stays healthy. I think him and Jack Sanborn, that could be a good battle. Him, and I think that's why they brought him in. Jack has made the team as an undrafted free agent. Made plays ever since he's been here. But I think Noah Sewell has that type of ability. So that'll be an interesting, training camp battle to watch. The Jack Sanborn and Noah Sewell.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see that one. To me, the linebacker room, it's tough because to me, I'm like, I would rather add more linebackers, but then where do you take away from? But at the same time, who are you adding? Right. That's really the question of it, right? When you get to Noah Sewell and Amen O, you're kind of like, okay, like these are solid backups that you hope are going to take the next step. But realistically speaking, these are not guys that you want to see in your starting lineup right now. Now, I do believe Noah Sewell has a chance to get in the starting lineup, but you got to be, to me, you got to become one of the smartest players on this team because there's no question about it. He's more athletic than Jack Sanborn.
Oh, yeah.
No question about it.
Yeah,
but Jack Sanborn is so deliberate in every step he makes on a field. Every move that he makes is toward the right direction. You got to be so smart to take over a guy like Jack Sanborn's job. I think that's where I wonder, okay, is Noah Sewell going to know the playbook enough? Is he going to be studied enough to be able to move into that next position? Because realistically speaking, I would love a lineup of Tremaine Edmonds, Noah Sewell, and TJ Edwards, but I would rather have a lineup of Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards, and Jack Sanborn right now because I know Jack knows where to be 100% of the time.
And he's shown it. He's shown it when he's had his opportunities. He's shown it. He's shown the ability to make plays when he gets an opportunity. You know what I mean? So it's a matter of the coaches trusting you, to be able to go in there and perform at a high level. And when Jack has had his opportunity, he's done that time and time again. It wasn't a fluke because every time he's got in the game, he's made an impact. And like you said, knowing your job, knowing your responsibilities, half the battle. And he makes up for his lack of athleticism with understanding the game, understanding his fits in the run game, understanding where he's supposed to be in coverage, right? But not only understanding those things, when he has an opportunity or when an opportunity presents itself for him to make a play, he makes the play. So that's the reliability and comfortability that these coaches have with the Jack Sanborn, having no problem of inserting him into a starting lineup. And, Noah Sewell is the guy who, hey, you're going to have to take that next step. If you want to get on the field at linebacker, that's the guy that you have to, the spot you have to overtake, and that's Jack Sanborn.
Yeah, to me, it's 100% about the mental for him right now. That's really, can you win at the mental part of the game? Last couple sections here, last few positions here that they have. Cornerback right now, Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, Kyler Gordon, Terrell Smith, Jalen Jones, Josh Blackwell, Greg Stroman, and then at the safety position, Kevin Byard, Jaquan Brisker, Jonathan Owens, Elijah Hicks, Travarius Moore. Best DB unit in the NFL.
Yes, man. When you read all them names, right, it's a ton of names, but it's a ton of quality young players. I mean,
100%.
Like Jalen Johnson, right, would be the elder statesman in that secondary, but he's a young guy too that just got paid. You know what I'm saying? So, it's awesome to have this collection of corners and safeties that are young, that have already got a lot of experience, that have shown you flashes of being able to make a lot of splash plays and big plays. So I'm really excited. I mean, keeping 7 cornerbacks, most of those guys are going to play special teams, but you look at all these guys. Terrell Smith showed a lot of flashes last year as a rookie.
Looked good, yeah.
Looked good. Tyreek Stevenson, the same thing. We know what Kyler Gordon can do. I feel like Jalen Jones, Josh Blackwell, and Greg Stroman, right? It was weird because those guys were, they had opportunities to contribute. They contributed a lot on special teams, but I felt like Greg Stroman, it was like he was moved on practice squad, moved up on the active roster. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So
he had to play the game.
He had to play the game. Those are guys that you can count on, that that if you bring them up, they will come in and they can contribute, or you can get by, in a game with some of those guys. So a very good collection of young cornerbacks. It'll be interesting to see if, how Terrell Smith comes out this year. Does Tyreek Stevenson take another step? He'll be the starter opposite Jalen Johnson, I think. But we saw last year, some rookie growing pains in terms of coverage, but he made a lot of plays. He made a lot of big plays at timely moments in games, getting some takeaways. So interesting battle, I think, will be Tyreek Stevenson and Terrell Smith, that opposite corner, Jalen Johnson.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the part that's so exciting about this upcoming training camp, this upcoming season. When you look at these names, I was trying to think, I was like, is there a play where they got cooked? I feel like no, there are some early in the season. Tyreek was getting
I was like,
Tyreek got worked out. Yeah. I think Tyreek gave up 9 touchdowns last year, just on his side alone, right? So Tyreek ended up getting worked out, but clearly, right, by the second half of that season, you started to see him kind of understand the game and kind of figure things out. And for the most part, that's kind of how all of these guys went. When I end up looking through a lot of the names that were on here, right, I was like, Jalen Jones, right? He had those moments where you didn't want to have him back there, but you had no choice. And then all of a sudden, he's able to make a play. Terrell Smith, I thought he did a really good job stepping in those games where Jalen Johnson ended up having to be out. I guess outside that last Packers game when the Bears kind of gave up all the yardage. But for the most part, right, when Terrell Smith stepped in, I thought he was a really solid player. When you have guys like that you're going, as you go down the list, Greg Stroman Jr., same thing, as you go down the list and you go, yeah, we got to send him to the practice squad. That's a good place to be in.
Yeah.
And that to me is why I think I think bar none, this is the best DB unit that the NFL has to offer just all the way around, especially when you add in Kevin Byard and Jaquan Brisker, both being guys that can play free, can play strong, whatever you need them to do. They can play in the box. They can play outside of it. They have so many options on this defense now. I think it just changes everything about how the Bears can approach teams defensively.
Yeah, and this is the thing, too. This is a defense that it's the same system for a lot of these guys, right?
Yeah.
So you think about it, Tyreek Stevens, Terrell Smith, it was new for him last year. This year, right, they should take another step because they should be more comfortable their second year in the system, right? Offense is changing, new scheme, new coordinator. Defense, it's still the same. You know, Matt Eberflus is calling the plays. Like you got a new defensive coordinator, but he's the co-defensive coordinator because it's him and Matt Eberflus. So
yeah,
it's, you know, like they've been saying all along throughout this offseason and OTAs and minicamp, right? They said it's good because the comfortability is there because they're not learning a whole new elaborate scheme. They're able to play fast in a scheme that they're familiar with. And yeah, we know the coaches are going to add a few wrinkles and some different things, but it's not like they're making a wholesale change in terms of their scheme. So they should be feeling more confident. They should be playing faster. And you bring in a veteran guy on that back end, Kevin Byard, who's played a lot of football, who's had a lot of success, who's been available. You know, he hasn't missed a lot of games. That's what you want. You know, pair him alongside with Jaquan Brisker, a veteran guy. You lose Eddie Jackson, you bring in another veteran guy that's had some good years in this league. You know, like you said, it's definitely, I feel like, one of the better secondary units in the league. And they should take another step because they're another year in the same system. So playing fast won't be a problem for the secondary.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. I mean, this defense coming into an understanding of what the system is and stuff like that, I think that's really going to propel them this year. And it seemed like they kind of figured it out midway, end of season last year, but now I think they've got it. I really think these first 9 games of next season are going to be some defensive classes. And we'll see how Matt Eberflus uses this newfound power of this defense. Finishing it out, just you know, you gotta include these guys as much as we've talked about special teams here today. I'm not gonna lie to you. With J-Mac on the pod, Richard Hightower's got to be smiling ear to ear. He's just hearing special teams left and right. Cairo Santos, of course, making it.
Look at my Shout out to Coach Hightower. You know the importance of it.
Every day matters. Carmel special teams.
every yard matters. Carmel.
Every yard matters. Yeah, it's flipped. They got the mirror on. I was reading that back.
Look at it. It looks backwards to me when I'm looking. I'm like, wait a minute.
Cairo Santos makes it. Tory Taylor makes it. Patrick Scales makes it. And Velus Jones returning kickoffs. I think that's pretty much the setup for special teams this year. Of course, all of the bodies that are going to be moved around to fill out that special teams roster. Tory Taylor's the one that's really going to be interesting this year. How they're going to use him on kickoff. If they're going to use him on kickoff, I should say, especially with the new rules and stuff like that. Cairo's a kicker. He can kick it through the end zone. And maybe with this defense. Maybe with this defense you see that a little bit more, but I don't see Cairo as the pinpoint guy.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that you took that punter way early, you know what I mean? And everybody's raved about him. We've seen him out there at practice. I mean,
he do look good.
He does his thing. So, you know, I can actually say this is the first time in a long time I'm going to be excited about a punter. Like I'm excited about watching a punter. Like,
yeah.
You know?
Hey, he got some punts, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. But I will say, listen, I've been out there. I've seen the backup as well. The black guy. His name escapes me, but he's a black punter. Shout out to him. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know if he kicks the ball as far as Tory does, but
yeah.
You may not have had to draft a punter if you had just found him right away. But Tory's here. We're excited about it. Here we go. Kumbaya.
He can go out there. He can go out there and get that tape and be on another team. That's his league. That's his league. When he gets a chance, when he gets a chance, which he'll get an opportunity. You go out
wasn't that a like a competition last year that Muzz came up with, like white players versus black players?
Yeah.
Throughout the league. Like when I remember seeing that just being like, we got no punters, dog. Like we got
but the funny thing is the whites versus the blacks, it was like they had no corners. They had
no corners. And they got 2 of them this year in Philly, though. They got 2. They got 2 dogs in Philly now.
Yeah, they do. But they were talking about they have to move a safety to corner.
No, they said CMC got to play both ways. So I hate to do this to you, C-Mac, but you got to play both ways. They got no options.
C-Mac just ran for a 60-yard touchdown. He's like, don't get the Gatorade. Put the Gatorade bottle down.
Put that Gatorade down. We're going to get you a special helmet. The Gatorade hooks up directly into your helmet. It's a backpack that you wear. You go out there and play. You don't get off the field.
That was a good conversation, though. That was,
Mess was hilarious. I just remember.
It was good because it wasn't in a racist way. It was in a fun way.
It wasn't malicious.
Right. It was funny.
It was white dudes going, we got no corners, bro. We got the quarterbacks on lock, but we have no corners.
But it's funny because, like, for so long, and this is not in a racist way. This is in a humor way. Like, you could be like it's like for a long time there were no white running backs, and now the best running back in the league is white. You know what I mean? Like, he can ball. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man. So.
It is. It's always funny looking at them lists, bro. When we get to that point, that's when you know the offseason is really here. But hey, let us know how you guys feel about the 53-man roster, the potential of this roster that we laid out here. I think we agree with most of the names that are on this roster. Like I said, we're not in a situation where you're sitting there struggling to find who your number 2 wide receiver is anymore. Now we're in a situation where we're trying to figure out, do we really need this dude at the number 6 wide receiver spot? I don't know about that one. Let us know your thoughts, though. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. For Jason McKee, it's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. We'll be back here on I will have an episode dropping tomorrow for you guys over the holidays, so make sure to tap in with us on that one as well. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bear down. One love. Peace.